I'm Emily from Threaded Journey. Don't stress. Let's break this step down together.
Okay, let's stitch in our neckband. This can be so frustrating when you first start because there's some little bitty things on the instructions that unless you see it, you just might miss that small little detail that makes it easier, okay? So, I've cut my fabric out. Make sure you're cutting it on the fold. And then when you're stitching it on the short side, that's this side. I know, should make sense. It didn't. Okay, so I have stitched it with the right sides together. And then I have pressed my seam out flat, okay? That keeps it from being so much bulk. Knit does not ravel, no reason to serge or anything like that. You don't want that extra bulk, okay? Then you're going to press it so that your right sides are now out. Your wrong sides are together. Then make another press so that you can mark your quarter marks. Okay, so put your, you can either do it like this and then do it like this and press it, whatever, so you're making your quarter marks, okay? So you're gonna mark that in some way. It's easier for me to do it with an iron, and then I've got that nice pressed little seam there, okay? Now, you also have to find the quarter marks in your bodice pieces. This is important, okay? So I'm gonna put my shoulder seams together and I'm gonna mark halfway that front line down the middle of your shirt, okay? And make a little mark there. I think it's easier just to use a real pin if I'm just making a dot and I'm making it inside the seam allowance, okay? Just works better, easier, whatever, but you do you, whatever works for you. I just want to be able to see it, okay? I'm going to do the same exact thing on the back, okay? Just making my little mark here, okay? Now, your shoulder seams are not your other quarter marks. Let me say that again. Your shoulder seams are not your other quarter marks. You have to come back and find those, okay? So now you're gonna take your middle and your middle, put those two together, line it up, and let's see, I can't see it. Do you see how my seam is right here? My quarter mark is right there, okay? It makes such a difference when you figure that out, okay? So you're just gonna do the same thing, just mark that little bit right there. I'm gonna mark my other side over here. Okay, now this is going to make it much easier to pin it in, all right? So I have my quarter marks here. I've messed with it enough. I need to redo those real fast here. Doing it here. And those are good. I can see those. Okay. I'm going to take my back seam, or the little seam. That's going to be the back for me. So I'm doing it with my right side of my fabric up. I'm taking that seam line and I'm putting it right where I made that little pin mark. And I'm going to start there, okay? I'm gonna go ahead, find my other little pressed quarter mark here, and I'm gonna go ahead and match it up with that one that I marked. Going around. And then this can kind of get complicated and you think you have it twisted, and you might. just make sure when you're all said and done that it's laying flat and that you haven't made a twist in it, okay? Because it is easy to do. I have found one of the hardest things with sewing is just how to stick it up under my machine. Which way do I go up? How do I not twist it? Like, I don't know why I have found that so difficult, but that has been a thing. All right, and my other quarter mark, where did it go? Right here. Okay, now, probably would have been easier if I had gone ahead and stretched it just a little bit, just to make it easier to kind of ease it in. All right, now I'm gonna do what is just called easing it in. This is not a pretty process. Sometimes I have to use my teeth. But you're gonna try your very best not to stretch your bodice piece, okay? Don't stretch your bodice piece. You're only stretching your neck. And so then just try to get like halfway between the quarter marks, okay? Until you have it all pinned around. This one turned out really good. If you are just really, really struggling, go back, cut yourself another neckband, maybe just a smidge longer. It may just depend on the amount of stretch that your fabric has. That's okay. Just barely do it, because then it gets to where it's too big here and can be floppy if you make it too much bigger. So you want it to still have to stretch a little bit. You don't want it to fit perfectly around. You want it to stretch. But I have had issues where it just really would not go. And just make it just a little bit bigger and you won't have to fight so much. This one looks like it is going in beautifully. This is a fabric that I got from knitfabric.com, and it is very nice so far to work with. I'm super pleased with it. I'll link what it is, or write what it is in the description down below. Or if you're watching this on my Threaded Journey page, you already know what it is and have already ordered it, most likely. All right, here we go. Let's see. I think we've got it all in, and we're ready to go to the machine and sew it in. But that was just so much easier. Get those quarter points correct. Helpful tip. After you have clipped in your neckband, stop, especially if it's a crew neck, so it wasn't as obvious which was your front bodice and which was your back bodice. After you've clipped and before you stitch, stop and make sure that that seam on your neckband is actually clipped to the back bodice piece. If you were paying careful enough attention when I was filming clipping that in, I clipped it to the front and stitched it all the way in and then I had to take it all the way back out. Slow down. Make sure you have it correct before you stitch. Okay, another one of those things that frustrated me at the beginning was, how do I even put my garment under my presser foot? So I have the inside of the shirt facing out so that the inside is inside and the neckband is up under my presser foot, if that makes sense, okay? And then I am starting about an inch or so from the seam line that was on the very back. That way, if there's any kind of last minute, oh, I gotta stretch it hard and it makes a little pucker, all of that is at the very back of my shirt and does not matter. It can sort of even look like it was intended to be there, especially if you start about an inch from that line and you have to start really pulling it the inch on the other side. It kind of makes it look even or intentional. So that's a little hint for there. I'm just going to do my seam allowance, and I always use my presser foot as my guide if I can at all get away with it, and I'll move my needle to make my seam allowance, if that makes sense. So if I do a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I know that basically that's my needle in the center and my fabric up against the edge of my presser foot. It's not exact, but it's close enough that it's easier to stitch a straight line. Okay, as I'm going along here, before I get too close to this clip, I want to pause, remove my clip, and pull my neckband just a little bit so that it's straight and flat, but my shirt is not pulling. Make sure the shirt is absolutely as flat as it can be, okay? And then when I get about here with this clip, I'll stop and pause. Always make sure you slow down and make sure your shirt hasn't slipped and that it is still lined up with your neckband. There's nothing worse than getting done, flipping it over, and realizing that your shirt slipped up underneath. So just go slow and keep lining it up. Okay, I've pressed my neckband. I have to be honest, this is the best neckband I've ever been in. I'm very proud of myself, actually. And it would have been even a little better had I not done it wrong to begin with, but that's okay. I think I can get those little marks out. But it looks really nice. Now, problem is all of this little extra in here. So you're just going to top stitch it down right around the edge here. That to me is like one of the hardest things to do. We'll talk about it in just a second. But if you'll notice, your pattern may already have had you to put the sleeves on. I like to put my neckband in without the sleeves. It's just a little bit easier for me when I'm messing with the neckband, but it doesn't matter however you want to do it. And so I've just kind of got it clipped up on the sides, just making sure there's nothing weird when I actually put it on before I finish the top stitching, because that's a booger to get out if you mess it up. So anyway, just kind of double check. I'm constantly putting on and off my garments as I'm making them. Just what I do. I just think of it as a little extra exercise. Okay, here's a little trick I've just kind of figured out myself, is when I am going to top stitch or hem or whatever, the first thing I'm going to do is put my fabric down where this part, the inside part, is up. And I'm going to measure where I want my needle to go. So I'm going to look for any kind of part on here that maybe is a little bit narrower than others if I didn't cut straight, and measure from that part. Make sure my needle's set right, know where I'm going to put my presser foot. I'm matching mine up. This little line right here is right with the stitch line, because I can see through the middle of my presser foot. And then I can still use my middle stitch line. Actually, I think I have it just a smidge over. Is where I'm putting my needle this particular time. And it should go around and catch the edge all the way around if I stitch correctly. Now, there is no reason why when you are starting out that you can't stitch it down on this side. No reason at all. Some people say the bobbin makes it a little bit different. It's a little different stitch, whatever. Nobody's getting that close to your neckline. But if then you want to try it to make sure it looks better on your top side, which is really the whole point, is I'm just going to realign. I have discovered, I've seen people who can have a little knee thing for their presser foot. That would be amazing. But anyway, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm putting my presser foot lined up right here with what was that stitch line on the other side. It's my seam line. And then my needle should be set now to be able to catch that all the way down. Now, because this is curling like that, and there's really no, I pressed it, but there's just no way to keep that from happening, which is why we're stitching this down anyway. I'm just going to make sure as I stitch along that I'm just constantly making sure that that's flat underneath there, okay? All right, my top stitching is finished, and it just kind of adds that little bit of extra to stitch it down flat, but it's not a 100% necessary step, but it just kind of does give it a little bit cleaner look to it, and you don't end up with any bulk right there after you washed it, that kind of thing. And actually I went ahead and just finished my whole shirt. This is the Barrington Boxy tee by Love Notions, and it turned out great. Thanks for watching, and you might also like these videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.